You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
We're back, Gene and Tony, broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios, and we're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. It's time now for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. The MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need an exterminator, you want someone reliable and effective. Call Greg Keener at Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Pest Control Services is a proud member of Angie's List and a member of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. That's Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Tell Greg that we sent you.
If you're renting out a property for the first time, there's a lot you need to know so that you can do it successfully and, frankly, keep yourself out of trouble. Luckily, there's a statewide resource with all the tools you need to run your new business successfully. In fact, the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association regularly holds a seminar called Accidental Landlord, specifically designed for people who are renting out a property for the first time. They also have residential leases, security deposit agreements, a lead disclosure, and lots of other forms. They even have brochures on the principles of successful property management and the eviction process that you can download for free. So if you want to know more about the Accidental Landlord Seminar or other classes about owning, managing, or maintaining anything from a single unit to a growing apartment portfolio, visit the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association's website, mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
Gene, I think you would agree with me. In my experience, a lot of confusion and conflict and misunderstanding occurs within a homeowners association because owners just did not understand what they were buying into.
Oh, exactly.
When they purchased their home there. Don't you agree?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that now. Things that homeowners or that a buyer should look at before purchasing a home in a homeowners association. Remember that when you purchase a home in an HOA, you automatically become a member. You obligate yourself to financially support the community, and you obligate yourself to obey the rules, right?
Yes.
Few buyers, however, will take the time to examine the information they're given. This includes governing documents, a disclosure, and rules and regulations before they even sign a purchase agreement, right?
Yeah, so we want to give you some key things to look for before you sign on the dotted line.
Because all those documents are kind of overwhelming, aren't they?
It can be. I mean, you can get a lot of pages, hundreds of pages,
That's
literally.
Right.
And, we've had a person who came to us at New Concepts a few weeks ago and said, I'd like you to analyze for me whether or not this is a good property to live in. And for this person, it was a property down in Florida. So we asked for a lot of these things to take a look at and then got back to the person to be able to let them know what it is that we found. Now, in analyzing, and if you get someone else to analyze a property for you, they're not going to tell you, yes, buy it, or no, don't.
Sure.
Only you can make that decision because you know what your comfort level is. But there are things that you need to ask yourself before you sign on the dotted line. Here's some of some of those important items. The first one, of course, are the monthly fees. Homeowners Association is going to have what's called, some people call them the dues, others the monthly operating assessment. And one of the things you take a look at is what are your fees paying for. Now, if you are buying in a condominium association where you have a clubhouse, you have tennis courts and pools and other amenities, you could typically expect that your dues are going to be a higher amount monthly than they would be in a townhome situation where you don't have as many things that you're sharing. But you need to take a look at what those items are to get a good idea of what is expected.
And especially if you're comparing one community with another, you need to try and get it apples to apples as much as possible. So in one community, your assessments may include water and sewer. In another community, it doesn't.
Yes, I can't tell you how many times I've had people stand up at an annual meeting that I've attended, and someone will say, our dues are so much higher than everywhere else.
Right.
And really, in trying to talk to that person, it's hard sometimes to communicate. That really has no bearing whatsoever what someone else is paying
That's
down
right.
the street from what you are.
Unless you have their budget, their operating budget, and your operating budget to compare what's the association's paying, you don't know.
Yeah. Another item to take a look at in this area of HOA fees, too, is how much of that is being set aside for reserves. Because
Really important.
That is, especially in Minnesota now, that is something that the state legislature has really underlined very firmly. Starting October this year, it is something that every association needs to take a look at, and that is their capital replacement.
They have
for
to have
all those
adequate reserves.
adequate reserves, and they have to make sure that they are reviewing that on a
They have to be
yearly
able to
basis.
show they have adequate reserves.
Yeah. We've got a lot to cover on this topic, but we're coming up close to the top of the hour here where we're going to take a break. So we will save some of these other items on what you need to know about buying into an HOA for the second hour. But we also would like to let you know, too, we also have another topic that we want to hear from you today. There is a legislator in Illinois who wants to outlaw proxies. Now, for those
In homeowner
associations, if you're not aware, a proxy is a piece of paper that says that I can't attend the annual meeting for purposes of making the quorum and voting for who the next set of board of directors will be. So I'll give it to someone else.
My neighbor.
Yeah, to be able to vote in my stead. She wants to outlaw it. She thinks it's unfair. We want to get into what's her reasoning behind that and ask the question, is it reasonable? We're going to take a break. Don't go away. A whole another hour of Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280, The Patriot.